11:30 a.m. here in Auckland, New Zealand. I've opened up the blinds a little bit. I think last time one of you people out there said that I looked like a hostage situation doing this in the dark, so hopefully we've got enough light. I am just streaming off my phone, so it's not going to be the ultimate quality. But couple of things just before we get rolling on this live video, which is all about Black Sabbath. So this did get delayed. It ended up getting delayed a whole week, and that was just because my boy Connor got sick and he was home. He actually got chicken pox. We just came out of school holidays, and he had chicken pox in the first week of the school holidays. And then just as he went back to school, he got sick and had to stay home for another week. So yeah, it's been pretty chaotic here. So I just couldn't. There was no way I could do the video last week, and I didn't want to do a Connor and Andrew, whatever you call that, comedy routine, because yeah, he just wasn't feeling up to it. He was pretty grumpy and sick. So yeah, sorry about the delay. I do like to keep things really steady and on track, so sorry about that. Oh, another thing that I did want to mention, because this comes up a little bit, you do need to be subscribed to comment on the live videos. Yeah, just to let you know, a few people get frustrated. And what that sort of comes from is a lot of people end up thinking they're subscribed and they're not, or maybe they're watching this from a different account and they can't figure out, but I am subscribed, why can't I? And they're not subscribed. So that just putting that out there. If you don't want to subscribe, that's fine, but just to let you know, if you do want to comment, you need to be subscribed. Look at me and my new favorite band. Unbelievable. So we're going to get right into this. We've already got a whole heap of comments coming in. Mojo Bag 01. Good evening from Yorkshire. Wow. Metal Buddhahead. Doesn't matter what people say, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Vanilla Fudge, or whomever they want to say. Heavy metal started in 1969 and hit the world in 70. Boom. Richard Plant, good evening from Rhode Island. Metal Buddhahead, cheers from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, USA. Oh, and one other thing I should mention. Now Connor feels better and he's back at school. I feel sick. It's not COVID. We've all had COVID, but just generally feeling a little bit worse for wear. So if I do cough during this video, my apologies. Now, what I'm going to do here, I know Wikipedia is not the be-all and end-all of facts in the world, but I'm going to go to the Wikipedia page for the first Black Sabbath album. And I'll keep your comments in the corner of my computer screen down here, just so I can keep up with what people are saying and talking about. I really do appreciate all the comments too. It makes this really fun. And I always do go back and read them. If I don't get to read them out during the video, I do go back and read them. Often very entertaining and ties things together really nicely sometimes. Okay. I'm amazed how much I'm taking with this band, especially being what you guys call heavy metal. It doesn't sound like what I think of as heavy metal. I guess it's classic heavy metal, isn't it? And heavy metal had to start somewhere. I do think of heavy metal as double kicks, AK-47 double kicks, but this is not that, is it? It's actually completely different. Swing, shuffles, no left foot playing a double kick. It's left foot independence playing like jazz left foot parts. Really just fascinating. Heaps of dynamics. I've already started learning Cat's Out of the Bag. Started learning the title track off the self-titled album, Black Sabbath. And just learning that. There is so much left foot action. That's what she said. There is so much left foot action in that song. And when he's going into the tom parts, when he's going into the doom, da, doom, 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 da, 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 da. We've got a nice quarter note ostinato on that left foot. 2, 3. But when he goes into the beat, he shows a lot of independence. I'm trying to get all those hi-hats just in the right place. The left foot's moving all over the place, so it's really cool. Sean Kinney, Alice in Chains, reminds me a lot. I bet he's very Billboard influenced. Okay, the comments coming in are great. I'm going to keep reading through this Wikipedia entry here. Black Sabbath is the debut studio album by English heavy metal band Black Sabbath, released on 13th of February 1970 by Vertigo Records in the United Kingdom and Warner Brothers Records in the United States on the 1st of June. Going back to 1970, albums, it wasn't just a release and boom, it's on your phone. 13th of February in the United Kingdom, 1st of June in the States. That's a long delay, isn't it? The album is widely regarded as the first heavy metal album. Additionally, the opening track, Black Sabbath, has been referred to as the first doom metal song. Now, doom metal, comment, I've got an eye on the comments here as well. Is that slow metal? How are we classing doom? Richard Plants commented that it was released on Friday the 13th, which, by the way, little known fact for anyone on my channel, one of my favorite films, Friday the 13th. Love me a slasher film. I don't know how many times I've watched the original Friday the 13th. The franchise ends up going off the rails a bit. Jason in Manhattan, Jason in space, Jason in the hood, whatever, wherever he ends up, it goes off the rails. But those original gritty exploitation type films, man, they are just so much fun. Here we go. Jack Bross. Doom is slow, down-tuned guitars, sludgy. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jack. We'll carry on. Upon release, the album reached number 8 on the UK albums charts. That's higher than I would have expected. And number 23 on the US Billboard 200. Black Sabbath is included in Robert Dimery's 2005 musical reference book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. Okay, we're going to carry on. I'm just looking over here on the right side of the Wikipedia entry. The album's only 38 minutes long. Not very long. That's what she said. Followed by Paranoid. The singles from this album were Evil Woman and then Wicked World on the other side. Released 9th of January. Okay, so the singles were released before the album. Okay. And disclaimer, I know I haven't done Wicked World, or I think it's Warning. I just went off the track listing that I had access to. There were very differing track listings and ways that the songs were presented on different releases, and I just went with the one I saw. I will get to those. I will get to those at a later point. I had to leave it anyway because it was just taking over my life and I did need to move on anyway, so apologies. I will get to them. Right. Robert McCambridge drums. If you like slasher films, I highly recommend Terrifier. think I've seen that one pop up in Netflix, but haven't got to it yet. I'm not a big fan of the torture porn kind of Hostel, Saw, all that stuff. I really love bad films, and I really love slashers, which can sometimes fall into that category, you know, pretty bad acting and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just love it. I love it. Okay. Recording. According to Black Sabbath's guitarist and founding member Tony Iommi, I always go to call him Tommy, I don't know why, the group's debut album was recorded in a single 12-hour session, 16th of October 1969. 12 hours. I mean, that is going in, setting up the gear, getting a sound. Is your amp working? Yeah, and it's not clipping the desk at the moment, because I think it did at some points in the album. Let's go. Set record. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. Takes me back to, you know, high school type band rehearsals, or you know, some early recordings I did where you would just rock up and everybody's in the room and it's just a snapshot. It's a photograph of that moment in time, which is what this album is. It's a snapshot. It's a photograph of a moment in time. I feel like albums now, and not throwing shade, I feel like albums now are not that. They're crafted over weeks, months, years, and, you know, snapped to grid and perfected and pitch corrected and auto-tuned. And it's not, I just feel like the humanity gets stripped out of it. At some point, there's none of the person left. This recording, these kind of classic recordings, all of the humanity is in there, all the mistakes. When I was learning, or actually it might have been when I first heard the title track off this album, Black Sabbath, there's a bit where Bill Ward clicks his sticks together. Make sure you're listening to this stuff with good headphones. He clicks his sticks together, and I mean, it's a mistake. You can't avoid that. It is a mistake, but I love it. It also makes it re-listenable, because you're going to hear something different every time. The tempo's not the same. You know, Bill will hear Geezer do something and get excited, and, you know, his adrenaline might go up a bit, and they speed up. That's okay. It's not against the law to speed up in a band. It is these days, but it wasn't back in the day. Whew, getting fired up. Stop getting me fired up. Okay, we'll carry on. Iommi said, we just went into the studio and did it in a day. We played our live set, and that was it. We actually thought a whole day was quite a long time. Then off we went the next day to play for £20 in Switzerland. Wow. Aside from the bells, thunder, and rain sound effects added to the beginning of the opening track and the double-tracked guitar solos on NIB and Sleeping Village, there were virtually no overdubs added to the album. Virtually no overdubs added to the album. Okay. Iommi recalls recording live. We thought we have 2 days to do it, and one of the days is mixing. So we played live. Ozzy was singing at the same time. Now that doesn't really happen now. You want isolation so you can get control of instruments and vocals. Not available here. I don't know if is he in a booth, or is he just... Oh no, here we go. Next sentence. So we played live. Ozzy was singing at the same time. We just put him in a separate booth and off we went. We never had a second run of most of the stuff. Can you guys get your head around this? You are hearing the first take of all four Black Sabbath members in a room, and you're hearing the first take. Beautiful. The key to the band's new sound on the album was Iommi's distinctive playing style that he developed after an accident at a sheet metal factory where he was working at the age of 17 in which the tips of his middle fingers of his fretting hand were severed. I did know this. Iommi created a pair of false fingertips using plastic from a dish detergent bottle. Okay, I didn't know they were from a dish detergent bottle. And detuned his strings on the guitar to make it easier for him to bend the strings, creating a massive, heavy sound. I'd play a load of chords, this is a quote, I'd play a load of chords and have to play fifths because I couldn't play fourths because of my fingers, Iommi explained to Phil Alexander and Mojo in 2013. That helped me develop my style of playing, bending the strings and hitting the open string at the same time to make the sound wilder. Wider or wilder? In the same article, bassist Geezer Butler. Guys, standing over for Geezer Butler. Come on. I feel like John Paul Jones, Geezer Butler is the forgotten glue. But I feel like he's more than the glue. He is the funk man. He's the soul man. People have commented on my videos, hey, don't forget about Geezer. Don't worry, I was giving props to Geezer. He's so funky. He's just such a good player, and I understand he was a guitarist, right? We're probably going to get into that. In the same article, bassist Geezer Butler added, back then the bass player was supposed to do all these melodic runs, but I didn't know how to do that because I'd been a guitarist. So all I did was follow Tony's riff. That made the sound heavier. And there we have the Rage Against the Machine formula of the guitar and the bass doubling each other. Same thing, really. Well, it actually became a bit of a through line with a lot of the sludgy kind of grunge stuff, where you double that bass and guitar, a little bit fuzzy, distorted guitar, and just have that big, thick riff. Iommi began recording the album with a white Fender Stratocaster, his guitar of choice at the time, but a malfunctioning pickup forced him to finish recording with a Gibson SG. So he changed guitars. Guitar he had recently purchased as a backup, but had never really played. The SG was a right-handed model, which the left-handed Iommi played upside down. I love it. I love it. Soon after recording the album, he met a right-hand guitarist who was playing a left-handed SG upside down, and the two agreed to swap guitars. This is the SG that Iommi modified later and put out to pasture at the Hard Rock Cafe. Brilliant. Heavy blues fan. Thanks, Geezer. He was my inspiration to pick up a bass and also learn his playing style. Oh, he's so good. Sammy Beck, did you ever react to Warning and Wicked World? I haven't yet, I'm afraid. I will get there. Scout's Honor, I will get to those. Black Sabbath vocalist Ozzy Osbourne has always spoken fondly of the recording of the band's debut album, stating in his autobiography, I Am Ozzy. Once we had finished, we spent a couple of hours double tracking some of the guitar and vocals. And that was that. Done. We were in the pub in time for last orders. It can't have taken any longer than 12 hours in total. That's how albums should be made, in my opinion. And mine too. I love it. Look, I love a glossy produced album as well, but I kind of want my rock dirty and messy. I don't want it perfect. I don't think that's really rock if it's perfect. Just my thoughts. Drummer Bill Ward agrees, telling Guitar World in 2001, I think the first album is just absolutely incredible. It's naive and there's an absolute sense of unity. Bill Ward, knocking it out of the park. Sense of unity. Yes, it's not contrived in any way, shape or form. We weren't old enough to be clever. I love it all, including the mistakes. Well said. In an interview for the Classic Album series in 2010, Butler added, it was literally live in the studio. I mean, producer Roger Bain, I think he's a genius the way he captured the band in such a short time. In his autobiography, Iommi plays down the producer's role, insisting, "We didn't choose to work with Roger Bain. He was chosen for us. He was good to have around, but we didn't get a lot of advice from him. He maybe suggested a couple of things, but the songs were already fairly structured and sorted." That's interesting. I feel like a good producer is like a good coach or a good manager in a sports team, where you might actually think they're not doing anything. Rick Rubin's sort of been accused of this in the past, where it's like, oh, well, he didn't really do anything. He didn't help me with what I was playing. Or a good sports coach or manager is a good people person and someone who is actually facilitating things and making things easier the whole time. And it's quite easy to think that if things are going smoothly, they're not doing anything. I wasn't in the room in 1969 when they recorded it, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Don't know about that. That's an interesting one. I'd like to hear your guys, your thoughts on that. I think a good producer can be underrated a little bit. Loads of comments coming in here. Nope. You spoke of a high noise floor, and you seemed to like that. Is that just nostalgia, or does it sound better? Yeah, it's probably nostalgia. I mean, a high noise floor, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about here, it's if you listen to this album, you'll hear like a hiss, or it's called white noise, and especially when audio gates open and close. If it just closes, you won't hear anything at all. And then if the gate opens to accept a signal or a noise into it, it might open up and at the same time pick up like that noise. And some of these old albums are very noisy. So there's a lot of hiss, there's a lot of pops and things that things that you would try and avoid. Most audio devices and leads and everything, you're looking for no noise, no hiss. But this album is so raw and recorded so quickly. It's rough, and you've got noise in it. So to answer that question, I think it is just a bit of nostalgia for me, and it just reminds me of a time when you could have noise on a recording, and it speaks to that organic nature of the performance. You're hearing a performance. You're not hearing one bar. Let's correct that bar. Cool. Let's do the next bar. Cool. Let's correct that bar, and on and on and on, and build it like a jigsaw puzzle. It's art. I consider this art. Okay, genre. On release, a writer for the Boston Globe described the music of Black Sabbath as hard blues rock. In retrospect, AllMusic's Steve Huey feels that Black Sabbath marks the birth of heavy metal as we know it. So Steve Huey, first person to say that, maybe? In his opinion, the album transcends its clear roots in blues rock and psychedelia. I haven't talked much about psychedelia, but it's clearly there, to become something more. He ascribes its sonic ugliness as a reflection of the bleak industrial nightmare of the group's hometown, Birmingham, England. Huey notes the first side's allusions to themes and characteristics of heavy metal, including evil.
Scott, hug for daddy.
I can't help it. Anytime I see the word evil, I turn into Dr. Evil. Evil, paganism, and the occult. as filtered through horror films and the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien, H.P. Lovecraft, and Dennis Wheatley. He characterizes side 2 as given over to the loose blues rock jamming learned through the English rock band Cream. What else we got here? In the opinion of the author and former Metal Maniacs magazine editor Jeff Wagner, Black Sabbath is the generally accepted starting point when heavy metal became distinct from rock and roll. Nice, I like that. In his opinion, the album represented a transition from blues rock into something uglier. I like the uglier too. I haven't sort of thought of it in those terms. And that this sound found deeper gravity via mournful singing and a sinister rhythmic pulse. According to Rolling Stone magazine, the album that arguably invented heavy metal was built on thunderous blues rock. Okay. You know, when it comes to genre, I'm not sure about, on this channel, I do get into the weeds a little bit on genre, and I'm sort of comparing bands to other bands and, talking about what genre is this? What type of metal is this? And it's hard to explain how I really think about that. Like, I'm not asking to add any status or anything like that to it. It's just to know sort of how to place it in terms of what else I could listen to that's like it, or who that band would be gigging with. I think genre really was invented by record companies trying to sell you stuff. Pop. Let's put all the pop stuff over here, buy it. And then country, just differentiate everybody and all the different styles of music. Whereas in reality, I think it was Duke Ellington said there's good music and bad music. And you can just like whatever you want. You don't have to stick to genre, right? On this first Black Sabbath album, there's a lot of it to me that doesn't ring true for heavy metal, just to me. But I missed that classic era of rock. So I wasn't there to experience how groundbreaking and different this was. Obviously, there would have been an evolution up the steps to what I think of as heavy metal, which is the... But then again, when I was a kid, believe it or not, I sort of thought of heavy metal as like Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard. And I mean, Def Leppard's like a Celine Dion ballad now. Hysteria. And it's like, that was heavy metal? So, yeah, genre, schmonra. I don't know. I'm not too worried about genre. But I do like all these descriptive terms to discuss how people feel about the music. What else we got? Nope. You'll hear much more metal on Master of Reality. Tony detuned for that album, so the sound became lower and sludgy. Sounds good. Metal Buddha Head. I saw an interview with Bill Ward, and he said he would lay in bed as a kid and hear the steel mill machines clanking, and it sounded musical to him, so he liked playing heavy. I love that. Thank you so much for those contributions, guys. It's great stuff. Okay, music and lyrics. Black Sabbath's music and lyrics were quite dark for the time. The opening track is based almost entirely on a tritone interval played at slow tempo on the electric guitar. In the 2010 Classic Albums documentary on the making of the band's second album, Paranoid, Geezer Butler claims the riff was inspired by Mars, the Bringer of War, a movement in Gustav Holst's The Planets. Iommi reinterpreted the riff slightly and redefined the band's direction, Ward told Classic Albums. When Oz sang "What is this that stands before me?" it became completely different. This was a different lyric now. This was a different feel. I was playing drums to the words. Wow, there you go. I commented on, was it the first song? And I brought up this idea of comping. And in jazz, we've got a term called comping, where you're not really just playing your part, you're not playing a beat. You're actually comping, you're supporting someone else. And listen to what Bill Ward says there. This was a different feel. I was playing drums to the words. He's basically saying himself, he's comping. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that. The song lyrics concern a figure in black, which Geezer Butler claims to have seen after waking up from a nightmare. Ugh. In the liner notes to the band's 1998 live album Reunion, the bassist remembers. Okay. Sort of going on a little bit there about the all that dark imagery. Oh, here we go. Similarly, the lyrics of the song NIB, controversial, are written from the point of view of Lucifer, who falls in love with a human woman and becomes a better person, according to lyricist Butler. Contrary to popular belief, the name of that song is not an abbreviation for Nativity in Black. According to Osborne's autobiography, it is merely a reference to drummers Bill Ward's pointed goatee at the time. So, differing stories. I've seen some heated debates in the comments section about this, but it looks like, who knows? Oh, this is interesting. The band also recorded a cover of Evil Woman, a song that had been an American hit for the band Crow. Never heard of this band. In his autobiography, Iommi admits the band reluctantly agreed to do the song at the behest of their manager, Jim Simpson, who insisted they record something commercial. Interesting. A little bit of a shame. How do you guys feel about that? I feel like it is a little bit of a shame. I would love for this album. I know they were young and it was a different era, but I would love for this album to just be top to bottom Black Sabbath and what those guys wanted to put down. So I guess it just adds to the mystique and the curiosity of this album though. Has anyone out there been to, I'm going to start getting into artwork. Has anyone out there been to Maple Durham Watermill? That's where the cover photograph was shot. Situated on the River Thames in Oxfordshire, England. Photographed by Keith McMillan, credited as Keith, who was in charge of the overall design. Standing in front of the watermill is a figure dressed in a black cloak. Black cloak? I thought it was like... Oh yeah, no, it is a black cloak. For some reason I had in my mind like different sort of unsaturated colors, but that's the rest of the cover. It isn't a black cloak. Where are we up to? Standing in front of the watermill is a figure dressed in a black cloak portrayed by model Louisa Livingstone, whose identity was not widely known until 2020. I'm sure McMillan said it was for Black Sabbath, but I don't know if that meant anything, much to me at the time, Livingstone recalled, adding that it had been freezing cold during the shoot. I had to get up at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Keith was rushing around with dry ice, throwing it in the water. It didn't seem to be working very well, so he ended up using a smoke machine. Hold on, I need to have another look at this album cover. I'm not picking up the smoke. That's a great album cover. I'm not picking up the smoke though. You guys seen any smoke in that album cover? Anyway, according to Macmillan, Livingstone was wearing nothing underneath the black cloak, and some experimentation was done involving some slightly more risque photograph. Nah. We decided none of that worked, Macmillan said. Any kind of sexuality took away from the foreboding mood. Good move, I think. She was a terrific model. She had amazing courage and understanding of what I was trying to do. Wow. Oh, hold on. Can you see the cat? Mojo Bag 01. In that album cover, there is clearly a lot of detail in this cover that I have not paid much attention to. Can I see a cat? Is she holding a cat? Or are you just messing with me? Cat. It's a really intriguing album cover. It's actually really a fascinating piece of art. I can't see a cat unless that's what she's holding. She's kind of holding... It's like someone holding a baby. But is that a cat? I'm not sure. Someone explain to me where the cat is. Oh, okay. She is holding it. Right. I don't know if I'm going to get through all the stuff here. There's a lot of information about this album. The inner gatefold sleeve. Now, I haven't looked at the artwork on the inlay, but featured an inverted cross containing a poem written by Roger Brown. The band were reportedly upset when they discovered this, as it fueled allegations they were Satanists or occultists. However, in Osborne's memoirs, he said that to the best of his knowledge, nobody was upset with the inclusion. Okay. Contradictory statements there. Iommi's recollection was different. Suddenly we had all these crazy people turning up at shows, he told Mojo magazine in 2013. I think Alex Sanders, high priest of the Wiccan religion, turned up at a gig once. It was all quite strange, really. Yeah, but Tony Iommi was wearing a cross upside down pendant at the 1970 live show. Come on, Tony. Look, all due respect to these artists, I'm in no position to critique their art or anything like that, but I think they embraced it a little, at least a little bit. We'll carry on. I think it's almost time to heat up my coffee because I've just been talking and talking. Oh, here we go. No, I've been corrected. Mojo Bag 01. Never upside down. Oh, I swear that Tony Iommi's cross was upside down. Ozzy's dad made them all across. Ozzy's dad made them all across. How cute is that? You know, I've been in like school band competitions and stuff, and one of the mums will make something for everybody in the band. It is so lovely. Okay, Jonathan Lundeen, Tony's cross was never upside down. Okay, I must have misremembered that. Release and reception. Black Sabbath was recorded for Fontana Records, but prior to release, the record company elected to switch the band to another of their labels, Vertigo, which housed the company's more progressive acts. Released on Friday the 13th of February 1970, Black Sabbath reached number 8 on the UK album charts. We had that at the start. Remained for more than a year in the US, and sold 1 million copies. Wow, that's a lot for 1970, isn't it? Black Sabbath received generally negative reviews from contemporary critics. Rolling Stone's Lester Bangs described the band as just like Cream but worse. Nah. Sorry, nah. I just 100% disagree with that. And he dismissed the album as a shuck. What's a shuck? Despite the murky song titles and some inane lyrics that sound like Vanilla Fudge paying doggerel tribute to Aleister Crowley. The album has nothing to do with spiritualism, the occult, or anything much except stiff recitations of Cream cliches. Boy. Robert Christgau, writing for The Village Voice, panned the album as BS necromancy. I don't even know what necromancy is, and I'm too scared to click on it. He later described it as a reflection of the worst of the counterculture, including drug-impaired reaction time and long solos. Are there really that long of solos on that album? This is amazing having your guys' live chat open. Metal Buddha Head. Necromancy is communication with spirits. Thank you for that. Legacy. Retrospective reviews of Black Sabbath have been positive. All Music reviewer Steve Huey said it was a highly innovative debut album with several classic metal songs, including the title track, which he felt had the most definitive heavy metal riffs of all time. Huey was also impressed by how the band's slowed down, murky guitar rock bludgeons the listener in an almost hallucinatory fashion, reveling in its own dazed, druggy state of consciousness. I like this Steve Huey guy. Although it's very easy 40, 50 years after an album's released to go, man, that was a great album. It's like, man, where were you in 1970 when these guys were getting panned? What else we got here? One reviewer said it was an album that changed the face of rock music. Butler reflects, the London press absolutely hated us when we made it because they had never written an article about us. They didn't know of us. When our first album, the first week, went straight into the charts, the London press went like, what the hell's going on here? And they hated us ever since. I kind of like that. I kind of like the fact that, you know, your band isn't part of the establishment and the critics and the older people don't like it. Great. That's what I would have liked when I was younger as well. In 1989, Kerrang ranked Black Sabbath number 31 on their 100 greatest heavy metal albums of all time. In 1994, it was ranked number 12 in Colin Larkin's top 50 metal albums. Larkin praised the album's crushing atmosphere of doom, which he described as intense and relentless. I tell you, that intro at the start of the first song, so atmospheric. And I've listened to it a few times since doing the reaction because I've started learning that song to record a cover of it. It's just so well done. What a start to an album. What a way to set the scene for your debut album. Those chimes, or what is it, like a bell? And the rain and the storm. And then you're into that. It's times like that you realize, look, I've been gigging professionally for, good Lord, 20 years. And for all of those 20 years, there's been some dude somewhere in the bar, in the club, at the event I'm playing at going, Sabbath! Sabbath! Play some Sabbath! and we never played any Sabbath. Now I can see why. It is just makes you want to do that. All right. Okay. Now we're getting into the release details of the different releases of the album. And this is sort of what I was looking at when I decided what the track listing was going to be for my reactions. And I knew there was some controversy with different issues of the album, and so I just stayed away. In the end, I stayed away from Warning and Wicked World. I will get to them. I didn't realize Evil Woman was part of the controversy. So was it... I thought it was Warning. Okay, this is what I thought. The English release had Warning, but not Wicked World. And the American release had Wicked World, but not Warning. Is that how this basically played out? Let me know. You know what I love here on this Wikipedia entry? When it gets to personnel, it's just such a small amount of people. Ozzy Osbourne, lead vocals, harmonica on the Wizard and tambourine. Tony Iommi guitar, Geezer Butler bass, Bill Ward drums. That's it. Production, Roger Bain. Production, Jew's harp on Sleeping Village. Now that was the sound. There was a song. There was a part of that song where I said, "What's that sound?" And someone commented and said that's the Jew's harp, which is obviously an instrument I didn't know. There was a really distinctive sound like the Wicker Man to me. Any fans of the Wicker Man out there? Okay, it looks like I had this wrong. Evil Woman was on the English version and Wicked World the US. Okay, so I had that wrong. I thought... Right, so Warning was on both of them. I got that wrong. If I had known that, I would have done a video on the I keep going to say the Warning on Warning. Yeah, Mojo Bag 01, Wicked World is US instead of Evil Woman. Warning is on all versions. The record companies sometimes put extra track names on, e.g. Wasp or Basically. Okay. And yeah, that's about all the information we got here. Obviously, there's a lot of interviews with the members of Black Sabbath, so that's something that I will be looking forward to getting into. I feel like at this point, I really would like to dig into some of the interviews. I would love to hear from Bill Ward. You know, haven't really talked a lot about Bill Ward on this video, but I can't explain how different the reality is from the perception I had of Black Sabbath. And part of that is Bill Ward's drumming. It's just not what I expected. I think I've mentioned this before, that I think going off, I'm going to try and be really respectful here. Going off basically the demographic of the Black Sabbath fan base in New Zealand, at least. Just how the demographic is and how they are. I had in my head a certain type of music that Black Sabbath was going to be. And that idea was basically of a more primitive and shaky sounding AC/DC. I don't know why. That's the best way I can explain it. It's not a judgment on the fans or anything like that. Not at all. That's just what I had in my head. And Black Sabbath was a band that, you know, my friends would never listen to Black Sabbath. That's old music. Like Led Zeppelin at the time, that's old music. I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to some new stuff. And just completely missed it. So to actually hear Black Sabbath, and this whole journey for me started with Hand of Doom. To hear that first song and go, oh, what? This is nothing like what I expected. Really super fascinating, and you know, it just reminds you to keep an open mind. Try stuff. If it wasn't for this channel, if it wasn't for all of your picks and suggestions, you know, who knows? Maybe I would never have got to Black Sabbath. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where I had this similar thing with Opeth. And I did an interview with my buddy Mark Reese, who opened, you know, I interviewed Mark, and he mentioned in the interview that his band opened for Opeth. This was before I'd done an Opeth reaction. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, cool, nice. And that has such a different weight now that I know about Opeth. Because Opeth completely blew my mind like Black Sabbath. So yeah, what am I even talking about here? Basically, the moral of the story is just to keep an open mind, to try stuff out. You know, you don't know what you're gonna like. And I always encourage people on my channel to watch the videos where you don't know the drummer or don't know the band. Had a really good one recently. Jonah Pointer was his name from memory. It was a guy I'd never heard of. The video had like not many views, and it was sensational. And you know, I featured it on the channel. Heaps of people, everybody who watched it loved it. And then they went off and supported him. And he was over the moon, and he posted it on his Instagram, and it was just I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here. It was just a great thing that happened there. And that's just an example. Like, you don't know until you try stuff. So yeah, it's always nice to just give stuff a go. And I do think that big acts, they're big for a reason. That's what she said. There's something there. There's something there that is a little bit of magic. You know, I think of Metallica and how enormous they are as a band. Like one of the biggest bands of all time. And, you know, people will hate on Metallica. And it's like, no. You're missing the kind of the point. They're a huge act. There's some magic there. Trust me, there is some magic there. I can see people dropping off just as I bring up Metallica, but you know, I've got huge respect for those guys, and huge respect for anyone who's creating music or who's out on tour. It's hard work. It really is hard work. I mean, if it was easy to sell 100 million albums like Metallica, everybody would sell 100 million albums. But they can't. That's hard. It's really difficult. Oh, look at this. Mojo Bag 01, Opeth Worship Sabbath. Nope. You want groove jazz that started a whole genre? Oh, hold on. You want groove jazz that started a whole genre? That's Black Sabbath in a nutshell. Yeah, but that started a whole genre. That's my disconnect with all this, because groove and jazz I don't really associate with heavy metal. So you expand on that. Expand on that if you can. Yeah, you're always going to get differing opinions when you bring up Metallica. Really divisive band. And in fact, I don't think you can get that big without people having a love-hate relationship with you. It's like the Kardashians, you know. There's something there, because if there wasn't, they wouldn't be all over TV, all over magazines. Someone's watching it. So there's something there, you know. And I can't believe I brought the Kardashians into this. Yeah, but that is just about my Black Sabbath live video. I'm going to have to shoot off and get ready to do some teaching. And who knows, I'm going to try and record that Black Sabbath, the title track, sometime this week. Who knows when it will be out, but I'll try and record it this week if I get some time. Looking forward to it. Just such a fascinating album, such a fascinating song, that first one. Overall, it's hard for me to like rate, you know, if I was a music critic, which I'm very glad I'm not, it'll be hard for me to rate the album because it feels uneven. You know, that album, I think even the biggest Black Sabbath fan would admit the album feels a bit uneven. It's not completely coherent. What we're hearing is four dudes in a room just honestly playing their instruments and kind of figuring things out. Kind of figuring out what they want to do, what they want to sound like, and all that energy, you know, of being young and playing your instrument loud and just not giving a damn, trying to do something different. But anyway, I will have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining in on the chat. When I get home from teaching tonight, I'm going to go back through this video and make sure I do read everybody's comments. So I do appreciate all of that. Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to go heat up the rest of my coffee because I didn't get to finish it. And I will catch you tomorrow with the next video. Take care. Catch ya. Ciao.